Har Har Mahadev, Mr. Khan.
Har Har Mahadev.
So Har Har Mahadev. Dhyan Foundation teaches advanced yogic techniques, mantras, and meditation. To prepare for these advanced techniques, karmic cleansing is essential. It is this selfless work for humans and animals alike that is so noble and enchanting, which attracts us to Dhyan Foundation. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, and my Sadar Pranam to the audience. I'm Yamuna Mundade. I'm an alumnus of Armed Forces Medical College in Pune and an ex-officer of the Indian Air Force. I'm a doctor and currently I work at the headquarters of the World Health Organization in Geneva, Switzerland, where I work in the area of infectious diseases in the global program on HIV, hepatitis, and sexually transmitted diseases. I first met Guruji about 3 years ago, and before I met him, I was initiated into Vedic practices. Until then, I was an atheist, an agnostic, and a non-believer. The only truth for me was science and the scientific method, and the only dogma I believed in. So after meeting with Guruji, I was immediately thereafter kick-started into being a 100% believer when I experienced divinity firsthand through an auditory, visual, mental projection experience. I cannot explain that experience using any biomedical approach or any rational scientific methodology or any parameter of modern science which pervades our life, and it pervaded mine too. It's beyond what senses can perceive and something beyond earthly dimensions. I have to clarify that I'm a very normal human being and I continue to live my life as an ordinary human being, as a householder, earning a living with my family. To me, my experience alludes to a great science, some great force of this universe, some vast body of knowledge on the power of human consciousness that has been almost lost to our civilization. But great luminaries like Guruji are working hard to keep this gift of Adiyogi Mahadev and the rishis and sages alive in our society to this day. Welcome to this episode of Gyan Ganga. I'm from Kerala, and when I was a kid, my father was a doctor and he was practicing in a sleepy small town on the coast of the Arabian Sea known as Talasheri. So in the year 1882, when I must have been in school, like class 6 or 7, our sleepy town burst into a spurt of activity. A brilliant young IS officer had just been posted as sub-collector in our town, and in an extraordinary effort of leadership and community stewardship, he led the sleepy town and our townspeople into celebrating a cultural festival, a carnival to promote tourism in that beautiful green picturesque town. It's like, you must have heard of the Carnival of Rio in Brazil or the Carnival in Goa. So Talasheri Carnival was his first social experiment of many to come, a harbinger of future things to come. And this young freshman sub-collector of Talasheri, freshly out of Masuri Training Institute, a leader of men, was none other than Sri Amitabh Kant. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Sri Amitabh Kant, CEO of National Institution for Transforming India, Niti Aayog. He is a member of IAS Kerala cadre of the 1980 batch. Mr. Kant has been a key driver of the Make in India, Startup India, Incredible India, and God's Own Country initiatives. These campaigns have won several international awards. Mr. Kant was also the National Project Director of the Rural Tourism Project of United Nations Development Program, which made a paradigm shift in spreading tourism to Indian villages. Mr. Kant has been the recipient of Economic Times Policy Change Agent of the Year Award, the Bloomsburg TV Personality of the Year Award, the NDTV Administrator of the Year Award, and the Distinguished Fellowship of the Institute of Directors. He is the recipient of One Global Award 2016 for leadership in transforming governance for the 21st century. He is the recipient of Sir Edmund Hillary Fellowship Award by the Prime Minister of New Zealand. He's also the recipient of the Golden Peacock Award for Leadership in Economic Transformation 2017. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, sir.
Thank you.
He is the CEO of the Niti Aayog, the government's apex policy think tank, an outstanding former bureaucrat who has an extraordinary track record in policy formulation and implementation.
When I was secretary DIPP, we worked on ease of doing business. We made India jump up under Prime Minister's direction to about 79 positions in the World Bank ease of doing business. Our objective is that India must get into the top 50 and in the top 25. The rural economy has already emerged as a powerful driver which is leading our economic recovery. I would also like to believe that the development model of Swadesh is in line with the Aspirational District Program, the largest experiment on outcome-focused governance in the world.
He is one of the key architects of the Make in India, Startup India, and Incredible India campaigns. He was also the driving force behind the extremely successful God's Own Country campaign for the government of Kerala.
I joined tourism in Kerala. Nobody had heard of Kerala as a tourism destination. We said that we'll go back to the roots of Kerala. We made Kerala into one of the most sustainable, high-value products ever. And we took Kerala from about $50 a night destination to about a $500 a night destination. We went and did an Incredible India campaign, and that's how India tourism grew from just about 2 million to about 8 million that period of time. And again, the same strategy. Go back to the roots of India. Yoga, meditation, the strength of India, its culture, its art forms again. And that's how Incredible India really went and hit the hearts of people.
He has been the driving force behind the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, the Japan Plus team, and an inter-ministerial committee for the US to fast-track investments for these two major FDI sources. He is none other than Mr. Amitabh Kant.
It's my honor and privilege to also introduce Guruji. Words fail to express the phenomenon that he is. I'll attempt. Guruji has spent his lifetime disseminating the authentic science of yoga in its purest form, following the Guru Shishya Parampara, sanitizing it free of commerce and free of profit making. Guruji is well-traveled, speaks many languages, and he has an honors degree in economics and a master's in management. What resonates with me is that he's a householder like you and me. However, when he chants mantras, it creates a magical resonance, and every cell of the body vibrates, and it opens the gates of our soul to subtle dimensions beyond human perceptions. He's an authority on Vedic sciences such as mantras, Vedic martial arts, and esoteric healing sciences. Being in his presence, transformation of mind, body, and soul starts from the subtle energy transmissions that we receive. At an Indian Medical Association event in 2011, Guruji, in the presence of 200 doctors, did a demonstration of aura visualization along with his students, and it was one of its kind in the history of traditional medicine and healing sciences.
How can we explain this thing that without from a picture that you are able to within 10 minutes see 6 people point out where the problems are? Is there a way to medically explain it?
No. No, that's what Dr. Lele just pointed out, that 80% of the comments match the diagnosis. Without knowing anything about the patients, if you can have such a good correlation rate, I think that's very nice.
I am Dr. Praveena Gandhi, a practicing gynecologist from the city of Mumbai. It was in 2011 I had gone to attend a weekly lecture at IMA Hall. On the stage was seated Yogi Ashwini ji, and a few sadhaks were standing next to him. Yogi Ashwiniji was given photographs of 5 patients, and in no time he told the ailments the patients were suffering from.
There is a problem at the back which he pointed out. In fact, he is having that girl is having a Cox abdomen, and it is very near to the spine which you mentioned.
I'm Dr. Shweta from Anesthesia and Critical Care, currently working in Gurgaon. 5 photographs were given to Yogi Ashwiniji, and with great accuracy he diagnosed the conditions of these 5 people without knowing them, without having met them, just by looking at the photographs. Also, during the same session, sadhaks performed strenuous asanas for almost about 45 minutes to 1 hour, post which their pulse rate was checked, which had come down. Such phenomena are beyond medical science.
Guruji has researched and written extensively on Vedic history and ancient temples, and also lectured at Oxford University IAM. This year, he was also acknowledged by Sripad Naik, who talked about the power of and the science of mantras as imparted by him. With this, I welcome Guruji. Sir, over to you, Amitabh sir.
Thank you, Yamuna ji, for such a nice welcome. It's very heartening to learn that when I started my career, you were studying in Telisheri, and my best years of my career have been spent in Telisheri. It's a wonderful town. It's got a very old history, and what a charming place it is. So you're very fortunate to have been born there and lived in Telisheri. I'm also honored to have this opportunity of meeting and interacting with Guruji, who has done such a remarkable work in many areas and who has brought a great amount of yoga and spiritual awareness and invigoration amongst all of us. So thank you so much, Guruji, for this interaction, and great pleasure meeting you. I'm really delighted to interact with you because Dhyan Foundation is rehabilitating thousands of cattle, and that's a very unique project that the BSF saves from slaughter at the Indo-Bangladesh border. What prompted you to do this? And I would also like you to specialize that Dhyan Foundation's focus on this particular activity and the importance of cow in our culture, and the significance and importance of your activity, if you could highlight to all of us.
My pleasure, Mr. Khan, to have you here. And I just learned a lot of things from Yamuna about you. Very heartening to see that such people are still there, who have taken up so many initiatives and who have been pioneers in so many initiatives in this country. Glad to have you here. Yeah, you see, how did the Dhyan Foundation first come into all of this? I have to acknowledge the government support in this, because this has been happening for many years. Decades and decades and decades it's been happening that these poor creatures, they are stuffed into trucks, their eyes are filled with chili, and they are poked, and they are again filled with chilies where injuries are caused with the poking. They're stuffed like sacks of potatoes inside trucks. And what was happening, certain corrupt BSF officials at the borders were allowing. Because earlier it was allowed for them to pass through. It was happening. There's no doubt. All of us know it was happening. There was a recycling scheme going on there. What they used to catch as a sample, they used to give to places called khatals, and the khatals used to again sell them back to the butchers. Even the BSF people used to call it recycling. And again, they were taken across. It was terrible, Mr. Khan. It was terrible to even, it's heart-rending to see such pictures. If I'll send you, tears will roll down your eyes. And how they used to be, they were tied like a Jhula system. It was called the Jhula system, and used to be just thrown across the border like this in a swing. And the swing used to be released and used to go crashing there. They had to kill them. So, heartless. This breed of criminals, they are heartless people. Nobody else was there to come forward in this. Nobody was willing to take on the mafia. When the Dhyan Foundation decided enough is enough, we need to now come in front. Of course, we got a lot of support from the government. Otherwise, without it, You very well know it's not possible. Wouldn't have been possible. And the BSF was also instigated then to now catch, to stop this that is happening. And they stopped it. Now, nobody was coming forward to rehabilitate the Gawansh. Nobody wants to come forward because of the fear of the mafia. The Honorable DIG came here to me at Dhyan Ashram and requested if anything is possible, if we can do this. Then Dhyan Foundation steps in. Over a period of 8 months, we created 28 shelters. And whatever the rescues were, we housed them and we started feeding them. We arranged doctors, medicine, and the work started. Today we have more than 40,000, and there has been a rippling effect on many fronts, on many borders, on many fronts. What has happened? Smuggling has stopped as per BSF records. What they have showed us, letters they have given us, because the rippling effect is this. So shape 1, 10 trucks behind, they get stopped. They don't take them across the border after that. So we were able to very comfortably then stop this smuggling that was happening. And we have been more or less successful in this now. As the BSF reports, you will be having more access to them than me. They don't give us the confidential information that it has now come to more of a lesser standstill. In certain sectors like Assam, it is still going on. To lesser degree, we get the information and we pass it on to the enforcement agencies to act on that. And Dhyan Foundation has done great work in this. And it is now more or less done. So this is how Dhyan Foundation has stepped in, and this is how what Dhyan Foundation has contributed to the cause. Because what was happening when these cars were being sent across? Arms and ammunition were coming back. The borders were so open and they were being used for terrorist activities. These are information which I've got from certain investigative agencies. There's a report by the National Investigative Agency, also NIA, where they have clarified this, that this is what was happening all over. Hopefully, this is going to stop, and hopefully with the present government, and of course your support, Mr. Khan, we'll be able to completely root out this evil.
Today, the cattle trafficking mafia are doing farming and have cleared the jungles.
मैं ध्यान फाउंडेशन के सहयोग के लिए उनका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूं, क्योंकि वही एक ऐसी संस्था है जो पशु तस्करी को रोकने के लिए हमारा पूरा साथ दे रही है।
इस मुश्किल घड़ी में हमको ध्यान फाउंडेशन और बीएसएफ का साथ देना चाहिए, क्योंकि गाय की हिफाजत हम सबका इंसानी फरीजा है।
हम सबको इस मुश्किल समय में ध्यान फाउंडेशन और बीएसएफ का साथ देना चाहिए, क्योंकि गाय की रक्षा करना हम लोगों का इंसानी फर्ज है।
So Guruji, tell us, while our culture speaks of milk and milk products as a source of good health, and we've all grown up on milk, consuming a lot of milk, recent vegan movement says just the opposite. And I wanted your views, because whether the milk is important and whether the vegan movement, which says the opposite, what is it that the common man perspective should be, and what is your perspective?
When you talk about veganism, it has started from the West. Now the West has got no choice but to become vegans, because that cow, which they call A1, has got no vitamin D in its milk. Its meat is absolute poison. So they were forced to convert to veganism, but they realized after some time, even that veganism movement was an error which they have done. And many Hollywood stars which started the veganism movement, they have reversed it now. They are saying something happens, they're not able to think straight without it. So you can imagine, with that milk of the Jersey cow, which is a mutation of the Desi cow. It's got nothing to do with the cow. I don't even call it a cow. It's a mutated being. It is not a cow. And when you're not having milk, you are killing yourself. The BCM7 protein in their milk which is the Jersey cow milk, is giving them cancers. It's well known now. There are many researches on this. That's what prompted them. But the Desi cow, which is there in this country, it's giving you the milk which is called A2 milk. I don't know why it's supposed to be, it should be called A1, but they call it A2. That A2 milk does not have the specific protein, and it is considered nectar. So you see, our Shastras are full. All the Vedas, if you see, they are full. Whether Yajurveda or Rig Veda or Atharva Veda, it's just full of praises of this specific food item which is called ghee. Ghee is not there anywhere in the world because our Desi cow has got a hump on it, and that hump processes the sun's energy and brings in vitamin D.
The protein mixes which are in a Desi cow, they're soluble and they are easily digestible. So they do not create a reflux or any kind of toxicity in the body. On the other hand, what they do is they aid the metabolic functions of the body, the various metabolisms which are there in the body, they aid them and they increase the immunity of the body and increase the Shukra as per Ayurveda of the body. So, two types of milk, A1 and A2, one a poison, one a nectar.
Now, as we know, in the present virus situation, vitamin D is one of the safeguards against this virus. Doctors are recommending vitamin D supplements. If you just, all of us were having that pure milk, and if we were having that ghee and Chawanprash made out of that ghee, there was no need for a supplement like vitamin D. So this specific being is a blessing to mankind given by the gods. And the gods,
when the Vedas were given, words like Aganya, Ai, Aditi, meaning something, a being which you cannot kill, a being which you cannot cut to pieces. These are the kind of names that have been given. Dhenu, the giver of all bounties. So, if you start off on cows and what the benefits of its milk are, veganism looks something very far out. It doesn't make sense from any angle because it's not providing you the basic nourishment. If you become a vegan, how will you do a yajna? The basic ingredient of a yajna is ghee. When you can't do a yajna, how do you communicate with the gods? So basically, I believe there is no culture behind veganism, just starts like a fad. And now very shortly, now they have washed it aside. Now they're giving in new concepts. This will go on. People will innovate, it will go on and on and on and on. We will kill ourselves trying to follow it. Let's stick to our culture. Let's stick to the dhenu. Let's stick to ghee and milk, and we shall maintain the immunity of the body, and we're going to keep all the viruses and all the bacteria away from our body. Disease will not come in if we are having. Our ancestors have literally lived on ghee and milk. It's flowed, like we just say, where the rivers of milk are flowing, that's prosperity. And the rivers of blood are flowing, that is chaos, that is barbarism, that is going down. So here we're talking about rivers of milk flowing. So milk, I can go on for hours and hours and hours.
According to a study by Dr. Frank Hu of Harvard School of Public Health, published in the Archives of Internal Medicine on March 12, 2012, one additional serving per day of unprocessed red meat raised risk of total mortality by 13%. Based on at least 6 cohorts, 2017 summary results published in the Journal of Internal Medicine found that consumption of unprocessed red meat of 100 grams a day increased the risk by 11% for stroke and for breast cancer, 15% for cardiovascular mortality, 17% for colorectal, and 19% for advanced prostate cancer.
You can imagine if biting Jersey cow meat, all these diseases can manifest inside the body. So colon cancer is extremely painful. One dies in excruciating pain. Now if Jersey cow meat you ingest and you get these, as per the researchers, Desi cow, which is considered the mother, the dhenu, the giver of all bounties, if that cow is killed with a Nandi bull, if it is killed and eaten, can you imagine the disastrous consequences of that? What hells one would go to and what pains one would have to bear. Just a question of some time. It's a time lag. That's it. One might think, I'm eating today, I'm fine and healthy, it's protein. But the Vedas are a science which has been for thousands and thousands of years and will remain till the end of creation. From the beginning till the end of creation, it's been there. It can't be wrong. All the Vedas are pointing to this direction. A warning, do not make the error of eating or killing a bull or a cow.
And veganism, now they themselves are rejecting it. You see, for substitutes, what are they doing? This quorum, a new kind of food has come out.
They call it quorum. And I tried it once and I got an allergic reaction in the body. So they're giving the kind of funny substitutes because if you have them, and I read up about quorum then, they said 2% people die after eating this. I was glad I wasn't part of the 2% because I ate it and I felt sick. I had rashes all over the body. So these are experiments which the world is doing at our cost. And I'm sure with people like you in the seat now, if you can even bring up these aspects and basically about the cow and what the benefits of the milk cow, the benefits of the ghee are, like your other projects, the way they have been super successful. I'm sure we will get a lot of boost and this culture will get a lot of boost and this will also become super successful because when you will talk, sitting from this chair, people will listen and they will follow. Like when I will talk, it's normally taken with a pinch of salt, maybe, maybe not, uneducated guy, you don't know what he's talking about. But when the man of a stature will talk like this, people will listen. And believe me, it is nectar. It is absolute pure amrit.
Okay. Thank you so much. Guruji, I saw the video where at the Indian Medical Association, you were able to diagnose the ailments just by looking at pictures. How do you explain this science?
This science is from Atharva Veda. It was called Yatu Vidya and it is a science which anybody can acquire. Any normal person can acquire. You have to only go into the practices, the deep sadhana and the deep practices. You're able to acquire it. You see, the body emits a frequency. That frequency, if you will just bring your hand close to the body, like if you just bring your two hands close like this to each other, you feel something. Just do this and you bring your hands close to each other and you will feel some kind of a repulsion or pressure. So all the healing sciences are based on this. Now what is this that you are feeling? It is not the mind. Because normally when we teach, we ask people to experiment. Okay, this Agya, this is what we call the Agya Chakra. If you bring your hands here, the sensation is going to be very different. If you bring your hands here at the Anahata Chakra, sensation is going to be very different. At the Manipurak, it's going to be again very different. So one can experiment on this and one can see that. Why the difference? The body is emitting different kind of impulses in these three areas. Now there are certain people who have been gifted who can see these impulses. Like a machine, they made the Kirlian camera which was able to perceive something, but it was all nonsense. I was called when the Kirlian camera was inaugurated, so they made a joke out of it completely. It doesn't make sense one bit to me. I believe that the science of clairvoyance, you can develop it inside you, you can see very clearly these emissions. So at the IMA, they had called me around 7-8 years back, a long time when I used to be doing healings, now I don't, where they had collected around 200 doctors. And they wanted us to just take a look at 5 pictures randomly and comment what the problems are. So I told them, if I am right, you have to give me a certificate. Stand by the Indian Medical Association. They said, okay, we'll do it because nobody will believe this is possible. How can somebody just walk in like this and just take 5 pictures and then diagnose that also in front of 200 specialists at the IMA venue? So fortunately, it was 80% correct. So we had recorded that whole, I think what you saw was that we recorded the whole thing. And the certificate that they gave us after that, that you were correct in the diagnosis when you looked at the pictures and tell. Now, sir, if you just see, if you can just look at the pictures and tell, this is what a culture is. If you can just develop this, and it can be proven anytime. That foundation is open to any kind of scrutiny. It's open to any kind of investigation. We have no bank accounts like that and we have no lands, we have got no big ashrams. We have very, very simple people walking the path of sadhana. We don't have any fixed deposits. We don't have any assets. We are very simple walking the path of sadhana. And we are open to scrutiny anytime anybody wants to come and see. How is it that you can just look at a picture and you are able to diagnose that? It is just like with your hand, you feel a frequency, you can differentiate a frequency. With your eye, you can see a frequency and you can differentiate a frequency. So the frequencies that are emitted are either healthy or they are sick or heavy frequencies. So when they're healthy frequencies, they have got different colors to it. Like here, the Agya Chakra, it's going to be having hues of violets and pinks. But if there's a hue of brown in that, or a dark violet in that, means there is something wrong. Similarly, the Vishuddhi is going to again give you a light hue of purple. But if you see a black in that, a black dot in that, that means there is something wrong with the Vishuddhi. And this happens before the problem manifests inside the body. because there's a process, a time lag where the problem comes in the ethereal world and it comes into your physical body. So at that time, these healers, these Dhyan Foundation healers, I don't do this anymore now. These Dhyan Foundation healers, they're able to stop it there. And they've conclusively proved it, not once, maybe hundreds of times. And they're open to scrutiny, we are open to experiments. And I welcome the government to experiment on this and see. Actually, last time when Mr. Shripad Nayak was here, he was shown this video of the IMA and he acknowledged that this is something which is a little different. And he said it on record. He said that the interesting thing was, I was so happy when I heard him, he said it on record that yes, it is happening right in front of my eyes.
योगी जन अपने सिद्धियों से शरीर के विकारों के बारे में जान लेते हैं। ऐसा ही कुछ इंडियन मेडिकल एसोसिएशन में ध्यान फाउंडेशन ने भी प्रमाण दिया है।
And we have done many experiments, not only in India, we have done with experiments in the United States also, with some very, very senior doctors, certain fellows. They've got fellowships right now, where they have done experiments and in front of them we have demonstrated how easy it is to see the aura.
A demonstration of science of clairvoyance was given by the healers of Dhyan Ashram. The event was witnessed by a live audience as well as streamed online across the globe. These healers were going to identify Guruji out of the 5 people they were going to scan at random while being blindfolded. A panel of reputed and senior people was selected at random from the audience to oversee the experiment.
In some groups we will take Yogiji, in some groups we will skip Yogiji to see if they are able to correctly identify. Scan.
The healer scanned 5 subjects twice, with the subjects coming in different order as decided by the panel.
So what you will see is out of 2 times, she got it right how many times?
Both times.
Both times. So what is the probability, Gupta, as a doctor? You tell me. Both times correct out of 10 times.
So we tried 10 subjects, 2 of which were Yogiji twice and 8 were other different subjects. And she was correct both times, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 5. So by this we will conclude this is 100%.
Getting it right 2 times on both occasions means the science is beyond probability, so it is highly accurate. Sir.
कोई चांस ऐसा नहीं था कि उसको कोई क्यों मिल जाए जिससे वो ये जान सके कि आने वाला आदमी किस नंबर पे आ रहा है.
This tool of scanning can be learnt by you, and you can use it to identify the physical and spiritual state of a person.
Believe me, it's a very, very simple thing to do. It's just the beginning of sadhana, where you can see this and when you can develop it. The purpose is not to see. The purpose is to use this force to go beyond, to see reality. Like what Yamuna saw. I think she was able to see the Shri Yantra one day, just sitting. And she could hear the sound of the mantras of the Shri Yantra also. And she came and she acknowledged. And she's a doctor with the World Health Organization. So just sitting without even expecting it to happen. She just saw and she heard it. So it is just that you can imagine the potential, you can imagine the depths that are there in the science of clairvoyance and what all we can do.
Okay. Guruji, wonderful hearing this. I wanted to ask you that, I'm aware that the Dhyan Foundation is committed to the cause of spreading awareness about yoga, which is a very vital part of Indian culture. Now, in these very turbulent times, how important do you think is yoga for mental and spiritual well-being, apart from physical health, especially for young people?
I would not like to comment on a specific virus, but I would like to tell you that following the basic principles of yoga, the body develops such phenomenal immunity that even certain envelope viruses, which have got a casing around them, so that they are not destroyed when they enter the body and they work very fast. The body is able to fight them off very, very easily. In Dhyan Foundation, we hardly have a case where people fall sick. And not only in India, it's all over the world. We have centers in 7 countries. And people are eating ghee, people are eating Chyawanprash, made in the right Vedic way. Ghee which has been taken out in the right way. When I'm saying right Vedic ghee, you need to understand, not just any ghee. We call it Do Than ka ghee. Do Than has to be given to the calf. Because when the calf does not get its share of milk, it curses you. And the mother curses you. Because you're taking away the calf's share. So the milk and the ghee, it is very, very, very important that the calf has been given its share. So that is used then for massages. That ghee which is made of Do Than only, of an Indian desi cow with a hump. That is used for massages. That is used for ingesting. That is, you do nasi inside that. Nasi, you basically shove it inside your nose. You do basti with the eyes. You wash your eyes with that. And you ingest it. That is the beginning of yoga. Because yoga is not dancing and prancing like monkeys. Like you dance around, you jump around, you call it yoga. Yoga is pure strength and power. Your body becomes like rock solid when you are practicing any yogic technique, advanced yogic technique. Your body becomes absolutely rock solid. And I think immunity levels go so high that viruses are not able to easily attack you then. And you go through any scenario, go through any environment, and you come out healthy.
As a practicing physician in the US, a country with the highest number of corona cases, I'm often asked, what can we do to improve immunity? Chyawanprash is a well-known Ayurvedic health supplement composed of 54 or Chawan herbs and minerals. Chyawanprash reverses the process of aging and protects us from cancer and immune diseases. Second, it is important that we consume desi ghee made from desi cow's milk.
We have not heard, like I have not heard any of our gurus or yogis falling sick. Never in history. They fall sick only once, and that is when they have to leave the body. It's an important point. They fall sick only once when they have to leave the body. Sickness is not meant for a yogic practitioner. But again then, the yoga has to be done in the right way. And yoga is never identified with one aspect of life, like mental health or physical health. It is a macro view of the entire creation in totality. They say in yoga, you are either Prakriti or you are in Vikriti. If you are Prakriti, that means you are in sync with nature. You are moving with nature. So when you are moving with nature, nothing can harm you, nothing can touch you. But if you are going against nature and not ingesting ghee, not doing the proper practices, is actually going against nature. Because the culture is so strong. And the culture has given us these practices which we have to follow. When you're doing that, immunity levels really shoot up. The chances of falling sick, I think they are negligible. In my experience, whatever experience I've had, we've done experiments all over the world we have done. The chances of falling sick are very, very low. Body becomes very strong, like rock solid. So that is what yoga actually does. If done, again, in the right way, and ingesting that ghee and Chyawanprash where the calf has been given its share. It's a very important point. People normally disregard it completely. Ghee to hai, how does it matter? It matters because cow is not an animal. It's not a milk factory. It's an energy. It's pure power. So proper practice of yoga will bring your body in that kind of a beautiful balance that your immunity is going to be very high. You'll be with Prakriti. And as per the yogic texts, one who's in Prakriti, with Prakriti, doesn't fall sick.
Thank you so much, Guruji. Really nice interacting with you and learning from you, benefiting from your wisdom. Thank you so much. It's been very, very nice and rewarding experience talking to you.
My pleasure. I'm glad that you could take out some time in a busy position like yours. I think it's a very big thing. People can watch you talk about all this. And again, it's my pleasure. And Yamuna also, it's my pleasure to see her. For a long time, I'm seeing her on screen normally. She's not available. She's a very busy person also like you. Being with the World Health Organization. But I'm glad. Thank you so much, sir. Har Har Mahadev.
Har Har Mahadev.
So thank you for arranging this conversation. And we hope that the science of yoga becomes more prevalent and well used, and many of the things which have been lost to our civilization is recovered and people practice it in our society. And I also wish all the best for all the animal protection activities going on with Dhyan Foundation, and will contribute our best in the best way we can. Thank you very much.
Har Har Mahadev.
Har Har Mahadev.
To see you soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Yamuna ji, for being here today and being the host of our session. Har Har Mahadev.